it.
Hello out there, thanks for joining us on Political Platform. And as usual, we have all the reports for you, updates on current developments in the polity, and we have your mails through politicalplatform@yahoo.com. You have the opportunity to contribute, and we have some mails we have drawn up from those, your wonderful experiences and observations of what is happening around the political arena this morning, and your reactions to the reports you also hear on the program. At last, the Investment and Security Tribunal, which we talked about so much on this program, has now been constituted nearly 2 years since November 2015 when this investment tribunal was disbanded. We cried on the program here that it is not possible for any adjudication on disputes as a result of investment, and that if you are a foreigner, you want to come here and there's nowhere you can go if things go wrong at the tribunal, you probably will be discouraged. The acting president came up yesterday with a list of members, and we just be waiting for the minister to do the formal swearing-in to have that tribunal up. Since November 2015, almost 2 years now, the staff there have been receiving salaries for doing just nothing. We also have some of the agencies that will have the ICPC and the other agencies that the government has also reconstituted with board members coming in. This slow pace of appointment in this APC government can win a prize. I mean, you can go into the Guinness Book of Record. How we just wait and wait and wait when we should do the appropriate thing. Tomorrow we'll be joining the world to celebrate Fela. Yes, when we talk about Fela, we are talking about a man who was not just a musician, who was also a politician. And so many of the things that he talked about, the protests, and his family background from the father to the mother to the brothers, the siblings, everybody around him has done a fight for a better and just society. So when we remember such a person, we probably will not be derailing from our political mandate here to educate our people. We must go back. Unfortunately, both hymns, we had them in so many musicians, Sonny Okosun and others who shouted themselves to the high heavens and died without really realizing what they were shouting about. The society remained the same. Some of the music that are played by these legends of the past who are late now, if you play them back today, you think they were sung. They were music or they were lyrics that were written today because the situation have remained. Now, we'll also be talking about the invasion of the House of Assembly in Kogi State. It's not the first time in Nigeria, but this is becoming one that you want to get, one that the speaker escaped by the whiskers. He said he was assured by the police that nothing will happen, but something happened. And one of the members was beaten to stupor, and they have now adjourned Synod indefinitely. They don't know when it will be safe for them to come back to the house. Well, what were the issues? We'll be trying to link up and find out what is happening. And the major reaction to yesterday's interview with the NGO leaders who said they were who have been tracking the budget. One of the agencies, the Space Center, the National Space Development Agency, says they have never had any center in Cross River, and that they will want to team up and work with this agency to find out who took the money and how the money, because it was not in their own budget, but that the budget was lying in the ministry or somewhere. They are interested, and they are also going to come to this program to explain to us the details of their program. And that's really getting the nail on the head. So if we begin to work hard and encourage agencies or NGOs like this to go out and fish out what happens, then we know. We were told yesterday that there are 16 projects that are missing in just one state, Cross River State alone. So many of the states have missing site. They try to trace the site where they are located. They can't find them. Adebayo Bodorin is joining me. I'm Okiri Agbonsuremi. Adebayo is here this morning.
A very good morning to you out there. Well, today actually marks Fela's 20th anniversary of his death. He died in 1997. And what a way of remembering Fela by quoting from his biography. He said, "With my music, I create change. I am using my music as a weapon. The secret of life is not to have fear or keep quiet." And that is essentially what Fela did when he was alive. While alive, Fela turned all the societal ills into hit songs.
Into lyrics.
And what, if you listen to some of those songs today, you will look around as if Fela was actually like a prophet, because they have become today prophetic pronouncements.
And Mustafa Mohammed is also here. Mustafa, there's a disturbing trend. The meeting that is going on, the negotiation that is going on, the Arewa youth saying, are we relaxing it? The Igbo should still, don't worry, we are going to consider it. Your governor, Shetima, is the one leading, by virtue of being the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, is negotiating, and he says there's nothing wrong with talking with them, asking them to draw back on the ultimatum. And some Nigerians are wondering, why are we negotiating? People that should actually have been asked to by the security agencies questions and asked to be taken to court for inciting and creating tension all over the place. We are celebrating that a sitting governor is negotiating with them, and they are telling the governor, don't worry, we will go back and reconsider. And we have not made up our mind. I wouldn't know how to place it. Against this background, you have the whole tension in the southeast. Oh. Somebody has been granted bail and was given conditions that, look, do not go beyond Nnamdi Kanu, don't go beyond this point. But he's told everybody that we are all talking nonsense, and that he has the right to do is issuing more ultimatum, is issuing more threat. There will be no election there. Nigeria remain a zoo. This is somebody who is addressing thousands and thousands of people all over the place, and we are just waiting. How is the Nigerian state really going with all these anomalies?
Okay, there are basically two things. Number one, the anxiety over the ultimatum is as a result of ignorance. There's only one Nigeria. Igbos are fellow citizens. Why are you expelling them to? Hundreds of millions of Igbo men and women are living legitimately, earning their lives all over the country, no matter how remote it is. They have no other country. So anybody asking the Igbo man to leave, I think is just doing that out of mischief or is being sponsored. Number two, I don't see anything wrong with what Kashim Shettima did. I think the governor of Borno State is so bold. He stood up where the other leaders from the various northern regions actually fail. You know, if these guys are really from the northern part of Nigeria, whether you call them Arewa youth or what have you, so some leaders need to call them to order. This is exactly what Governor Shettima did. Unlike Governor El-Rufai of Kaduna State, who even asked that these people should be arrested and jailed. Of course, the law might also take its course, but we need leaders who should be talking to younger people at most times, because the disconnect between the leadership and the younger people is the same thing that has propelled people like Nnamdi Kanu to begin to call for cessation, violence, and what have you. And so long as our leaders from various regions are not talking to these young people, then you know that the agitation and calling for crisis will continue, and anybody who has not seen war is the one who will be calling for war. Because my brothers who have seen what has happened during the civil war or the current Boko Haram crisis in the
they
will never call for a war.
Dr. Amicha Nakwe is also on the program this morning. Michi, welcome.
Thank you, Hira. If we can get a missing budget, how come you'll be surprised when we get missing projects? Just few projects missing. But that's by the way. I encourage that Alliance for credible elections to do, and that's the work of the media and the NGO. The executive proposes the budget, the National Assembly passes it into law, implementation begins by the executive, the media, the civil society, communities, individuals, different organizations begin to monitor the implementation. That has been the missing factor in Nigeria. That's why our budget has been a compendium of fraud. But on the other hand, talking about the constitution of the board of the Security and Investment Tribunal, Of course, there are some others that are still waiting on the wings. We must commend the acting president for taking action belatedly. But there are so many of them that needs to be constituted.
I don't know if NAFDAC has a
The Fiscal Responsibility Commission, the board, tenure of the board expired in 2013. As we speak, 4 years after, it is yet to be constituted. Now, it is that commission that serves as like a watchdog to MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies. If your expenditure pattern is against fiscal responsibility, violates the fiscal responsibility law, that are the one that should pull you back. This issue of operational surplus, if you get it on spent funds, that are the ones that should serve as a watchdog. I believe, from my own conclusion, the governments of the day, starting from the one that was then in 2013 that failed to reconstitute it, will not want it empowered so that it cannot carry out its function as a watchdog to enable those that have put in various positions to commit blue murder in terms of financial management and get away with it.
Right, and Uju Eje is also on the program. Uju, welcome to the program. We already have Fela on in the background.
Yeah, well, Fela, I mean, I remember him with fond memories. I also remember some of the funny things that happened the day he was buried. But mostly, I remember him for two particular songs that readily come to mind at this time. When you talk about suffering and smiling, and then you also have When Trouble Sleep, Young Go Wake. Waiting in the fire.
A lot of palava around.
Palava, you go get it.
All right, let's go to our mailbox and then we'll come back on the course of the program.
Thanks, Ohira. Welcome to the mail segment. I'm Amaka Okoro.
And I am Etenikan Akepu. You're welcome.
We'll begin with a reaction on yesterday's analysis on tracking the Nigerian budget. And it's coming from Marufu Ajenifuja in Kuba, Abuja. The mail reads, many Nigerians shared the feelings of the leaders of the NGO Alliance for Credible Election on tracking the Nigerian budget and commended their huge sacrifices and passion for the nation. It's a common knowledge that budget appropriation and budget release in Nigeria are two sides of a coin. Therefore, due diligence on both sides is recommended to avoid a case of vicarious atonement. Budget tracking will become a plug-and-play scenario if the federal and state ministries of finance, Federal Ministry of Budget and National Planning, and other relevant MDAs are not compelled to publish their respective budget allocations and releases for capital projects on their website within a time frame. By doing this, the strategic stakeholders will be on the same page, and the NGOs and other interested Nigerians can then track the projects on ground and raise vital questions where necessary. God bless Nigeria.
And staying with that, Inaku Odama in Abuja writes on missing projects across Nigeria in the course of Budget 2015 tracking. He says, let this work not end in telling us. Let EFCC come in immediately. Let each project be named, and let all assigned to execute each project be also named. Let the location of each project be named. Let everyone responsible to execute this project be invited to political platforms to tell us all their stories. Please, let this idea of investigating project execution not stop, I plead. This is one of the best things ever I'm getting from this platform, and this is one of the best strategic corruption fights. Thanks, and God bless Nigeria.
And over to the activities in the National Assembly. This particular one is coming from Taiwo Ajike from Lagos State. The mail reads, thanks for crying out loud for our legislators to swear in the Assembly declared winner by the Supreme Court. But it seems you are tired of the consistent pressure. I always wonder if legislators find it difficult to obey the law, should we then blame the executive? Please, crew members, continue to mount pressure on them until the right thing is done. Also, Uju Ejeye is always quick to defend the National Assembly. This time, help tell them to do the right thing. Look at how the consistent pressure from Governor Fayose has forced the executive to give us right information on the president's health status. God bless Nigeria.
And that's it for the mail segment today. Keep your mails coming. Send them to politicalplatform@yahoo.com.
Busted. They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Now, we have so much to talk about. Let's begin from the reactions from the Space Center, and let's get reaction from the Space Center on the allegations that there's a fund that were appropriated for the setting up of a Space Center in Cross River from the budget tracking from the Alliance for Credible Elections yesterday. The interview we had with the lady that came on the program. And I have Dr. Felicia Ally on the line. Dr. Felicia Ally is the head of media of the Space Center. Thank you very much, Felicia, for joining us on the program.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much. How are you? Good morning.
Yeah, I'm okay. Are you? Can you explain to us what the situation is?
Well, I wouldn't know where the person got his information from. As we are concerned in the space 2015, we did not even have a center in Cross River, not to talk of allocating money, to the center. In the whole of 2015, we actually about 200 million budgeted for the space agency, but only about 145 million naira was received. So for the infrastructural development and also the development completion of the Space Center. So what people just go on here to make such a
so
statement.
you are surprised that budget was, because these people didn't manufacture it. They said they saw a subhead in the budget, and that money was, according to them, supposed to have been spent in the setting up of a center. So you are surprised as an agency that anyhow, whether in your budget or in the budget of the ministry or anywhere, that your center is mentioned against a budget, a center that does not exist.
Exactly, we were surprised because nothing like that existed in 2015 budget. So, and there was nothing like that in our budget.
That's your own budget. Is it possible that there's a budget somewhere within the budget 2015? There's an allocation that you are not aware that may not be in the Space Center's budget?
It's not possible for an allocation to be given to us and for us not to be aware. So there was nothing like that. So we were surprised as an organization, and we want to seize the opportunity to appeal to Nigerians to always try as much as possible to cross-check their information before going on here to make such a statement.
I don't think that is that the appropriate step to take. The appropriate step to take is to link up with the agency and find out those facts, because
exactly.
it is possible that such subheads or exists in the 2015 budget.
I don't think so. If such subheads existed, we should know as an agency. And if we are not aware and somebody is giving such an information, I think we are in a better position, to clarify. So there is no way such a subhead will be in our budget, and the space agency will not be aware.
Now,
information yesterday, it was very embarrassing to us as an organization.
Now, I have also known that from the National Assembly, there are constituency projects that are approved for National Assembly members in some areas, and they ask agencies to implement them. Have you had any such request from the National Assembly, senators, House of Rep members that you should help them because the budget was tracked and you were supposed to be the one spending the money, but it didn't exist in your own budget?
No, there was nothing like that. Nothing. There was nothing like that from the National Assembly, and there was nothing like that in our budget for 2015. So I just told you now, the total budget to us for 2015 was just about 200 million. But at the end of the day, we were able to access about 145 million, and it was for two major projects, infrastructural development and completion of Obasanjo Space Center. So nothing like that. So the one you are talking about, that a particular money was allocated, for us to carry out a project in the Cross River. There was nothing like that in our budget.
Don't you think it's better to link up with the NGO and know the source of their information rather than condemning and being defensive like all other government agencies?
Come again, I can't hear that.
I think what Mustafa is asking you is whether it is not more appropriate to link up with the agency, find out the facts before you begin to defend and offer defense when you don't have all the facts.
We have our facts. I mean, we have provision for an organization for a particular year. So we have more than budget. So if we are very sure of what you are saying, if you have such a thing in our budget, we should be able to tell you. But then I'm saying that there is nothing like that for 2015. So as far as we are concerned, there were only two provisions for 2015, infrastructural development and completion of urban research center. And the total amount made available during that year was about 200 million. And only 145 million was released.
Okay. Dr. Felix Ally, thank you so much for joining us. You have a right of reply, and that's why we have given you the opportunity since you've called to say, look, you want also to be here. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother.
Here, I think we have to do a house clearing here. We need to tie up the loose ends and come to the public with the actual state of things. I think within a few days we can be able to get that done.
And I think that from what he has said and what the lady that came here yesterday said, is like the confusion has continued. If you remember, the 2015 budget was the most controversial, where you had three different copies of the three different versions of the budget circulating, and I see this maybe as one of the confusion that emanated from that, or one of the issues that came from the confusion of that time.
If Adiba Yoboduru is like Uju said, we need, and Dr. Amici said, we need to do more introspection, clean up the stories as presented by the NGO, compare. And in fact, this one should also take us to other areas that I've mentioned, so that we begin to look at the sites, the locations, and then we track it. We take a look at the budget itself, their own report, and see where they are and see if monies were released. I asked her yesterday because there are so many times budgetary provisions are made and monies are not actually released. So it's not enough to find a project in the budget and you say a project has been executed. Was money released for it? I think we should look at appropriately at the appropriate angles where monies were released and the projects were not executed. Like she said yesterday, they said there are very many that they have tracked. Some of them, monies were released. Other projects were not supplied, or they were supplied halfway, or they were not done even at all.
And it actually mentioned that some of them cannot even be located in some states, the 6 states where they track these projects. I think the great achievement from their report is that the citizens, it will awaken the citizens to be interested not just in pronouncement on budget by the executive and then the passage by the legislature. The actual implementation should now be of interest to people across, to the citizens themselves, since they are going to be the direct beneficiaries of such projects.
Especially with a freedom of information law that is in operation. We have not fully utilized that law. That law empowers you to write to any government agency or office to demand for actions, and legitimately they're supposed to furnish you with, for instance, the amount of money that was released for a particular capital projects. Is a citizens' contribution to the anti-corruption campaign.
Well, let's quickly, because of time now, we have just about 5 minutes to go. Let's just begin to douse the tension. We are not going to be telling you lies, or for persons who say, look, we know it happened before. Anybody who is waiting, it's only a tree that waits, like Ojus or Kalu told us on this program. It's only a tree that will wait. If you want to cut it, you go and bring cutlass, put it down. Then you go home, go and drink water, bring the axe, and put it down. The tree will be waiting for you. And that the Igbos will not just be waiting. They have their plans. I said, what plans? He said it's not going to be canvassing all those things. I think some of those things are the things that contribute to the tension. If you go to the southeast, and I have so many contacts in the southeast, you go to the southeast, the fear is pervasive. They are calling their kinsmen, their sons and daughters to get ready. They are not sure. And this is actually accentuated by the fact that the IPOB is carrying out a massive campaign, door-to-door campaign, that even the government agencies are not able to douse the tension, telling them that everything is wrong. October 1 is a deadline. We are going to do this. They said we are going to move away. I think we should, the media, the government agencies should, just like Mustafa said, begin to emphasize the emptiness in these threats. how empty they are, and how it is not possible for a group of persons, 2, 3, 4, 5 people to sit down and begin to determine our economic and social life from at the angle from where they are talking. Yes, government may have been late in taking the action, but they are actually moving. Shetima may be talking and people will say, why is he talking to people who should be arrested? But we have also told you on this program that the reason government is not in a hurry to begin to arrest everybody is that almost everybody from everywhere, southwest, southeast, northeast, northwest, deserve to be arrested. And if they begin the arrest, it will lead to unnecessary tension. And the acting president have been meeting, a lot of traditional rulers have been talking, political leaders have been talking. I will ask them to talk more so that all this unnecessary tension will go down.
Okiria, for those who have not seen the wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, the bombings in Pakistan,
and the latest one in Syria.
In Syria, we used to hear those things on the BBC. Remember those years that we didn't have the satellite ABGs and DSTVs of this world? We used to hear those ones on the BBC radio, and then you read on Times magazine or The Economist. But then we woke up one day and then found those things at our doorstep because our leaders were not able to have an early warning system. Some of them helped in providing the very problems that brought about Boko Haram and what have you. I think there's a very serious gap in leadership in the country. The Southeasterners have canvassed for infrastructure since after the Civil War, and then those of them who also go to leadership positions like, you know, the National Assembly, the ministership, governorship, they were not able to help their brothers get what they want, just like my brothers from the Niger Delta who later had the presidency for 6 years. And if you go to Yenagwe Road, the road that leads from Yenagwe to the former president's hometown is abandoned. The Boni Bodo Bridge, not constructed since Abacha period. So what are we talking about? Let's look at what Nigerians need. Let's look at why do we have youth restiveness. Let's also look at what can we do as leaders. Bridge the gap between the leaders and the led, especially the restive youth. Kashim has spoken. The other leaders in the north, including traditional rulers, have not spoken. How many other governors have spoken? None. Have the National Assembly members spoken? No. So what are we talking about? Some people are condemning Shetima because he's a governor from the minority part of, you know, the northern part.
I think a few days ago, northern governors, 19 of them and their traditional rulers, met in Kaduna, and some of these issues came up. If you recall, the Sultan spoke extensively on these threats of insecurity.
All right, we have to end it up here, but on an encouragement note that you should not have unnecessarily you should not unnecessarily get yourself tensed up. There are a lot of efforts going on, and dialogue, people talking, and if you look at the situation of the way we have come together as a people, live together, you will know that some of these threats are really just empty. Like Mustafa said, either they are sponsored or people who are jobless are just doing their job. Let's come back in under 24 hours. We'll examine all the issues. If you have anything to tell us, please let us know. And we will be able to have the privilege to explain some of the things we also understand. Okiria Agbonsuremi here. Let's have our hands on the deck for peace in Nigeria.
Bust it!